I was born on April the 6th, 1926. And I was born up in Pushlitz County, up in around Freelton, or in between Freelton and Carlisle in there. And I know the day I was born, my mother told me that it was the worst ice storm of the year. And my dad had to walk into Freelton to get the doctor. Now, I don't know what time I was born. I can't, there's so many things I wish I had asked my parents, but, you should, if your parents are still alive, you should try and find out all these things before they call. And it was on a farm, and my dad was a barber here in Dundas, but how he got back and forth, I don't know, because these are the things that you don't think to ask. And my first recollection of Dundas was we moved on King Street, and it was a double house, and not too far down from the Legion. And okay, maybe I can think of it. Probably up from Market Street, in that next block. And Dr. Insetter was on the corner house, a big, huge house, which now belongs to all the opticians and optometrists in there. And we were just up from that, and it's now a pet store or something. And I remember I was about 4, probably 5. My mother would cross the road, and I would go down to Risks and get some milk, and then they would see that I got back up again, because that one time it was a gas station. Well, it still is, but it was altogether different. And there was a Dr. Livingston, had a beautiful home there opposite the senior center. And they tore that down to make room for all this other thing. Do you know that area, that spot?
I would have been, I'm learning it. I'm from Hamilton mainly.
I don't know who it is. It's opposite the senior center. And then I went to school. It was, April. Then that following September, I went to school, and I enjoyed every bit of my school life in Dundas.
What school did you go to?
Dundas Public School. It was, every teacher I had was marvelous. I can't say enough about them to what they are today. They were dedicated, and I remember Miss Jones, we used to be called the first book, second book, third book. It's all first grade, second, altogether different now. And I don't know what the education is, but so then I don't know how long we lived there. And then my dad bought a house on Hat Street, and it just had a fire here about a year ago, 168 Hat Street. And the freight train used to go up and down. You knew that?
A little, yeah.
Okay, the freight train used to go up Hat Street, and we used to holler at the conductors, or whoever, got any chalk, and then he would throw us chalk.
Oh, what would you do with the chalk?
That big, thick chalk, the white chalk, that they used to write on the freight cars, the numbers and stuff like that, so they used to throw us chalk. And then behind us, at that time, there was a lot of empty fields, and they were allotted behind that property. You were able to grow like a market garden, vegetables and things like that. And then there was a swimming pool there at the back. I think it was Lions Club that built it. But it's all Rotary now. I don't know if Lions Club is still in Dundas or not. But they built this pool for us. Well, before that, we used to go swimming in Spencer Creek. We used to paddle and stuff like that, because our home wasn't too far on Hat Street. The creek ran in behind it, but we were careful. And then there was a hog's back in behind, where it's just now off Creighton Road, which is all homes in there now. And we used to climb up that hog's back for something to do and come back down again. So, but Dundas was a great place to grow up as a child. It really was, because well, back in, we'll say in early 30s, 31, 32, there weren't that many vehicles around. People It was just after Depression, and not everyone had a lot of money. My dad was a barber, and he worked very hard, and he only got, I think, 25 cents for a haircut at that time. But I don't know what you pay now. He was always late getting home Saturday nights because the farmers would come into town and later, and he would stay and cut their hair and things like that. And what else? Oh, I don't know. There are many changes in Dundas. The stores. His barbershop was, where the 4 banks are?
Yes.
Well, the Royal Bank. That's where on the corner was Keldy's tobacconist. And then my dad's shop was next door to it. But I can't remember what was next door to him, I can't remember. But at one time, Memorial Square, the monument was there, you know that? The monument that's at the Senior Center now,
Oh, okay.
on Market Street, that used to be in Memorial Square. And Memorial Square, the sidewalk was here, and there was a road here and a road here. The fire hall was always there,
Yeah.
but they've enlarged it now, and they changed it. And they moved the monument up to the Senior Center. But that was always at Memorial Square. And when we were on November the 11th, we walked over from our school, and always had the service. I always walked to the service. We marched in their classroom, and then we would stand there while they had the service. But I can't remember much about the service because, And we lived on Memorial Square. We sold the house. My dad sold the house to Mike's parents. So then we moved to Memorial Square, where there was, it's all a huge big building now, but at that time there was Mr. Rental, and he was a blacksmith, or a farrier as they call them now. He was a blacksmith, and we lived up above in a flat. And what else can I tell you? I don't know.
What was it like? You were telling me you would take the train to Toronto all the time?
Okay. So when I was, I have wanderlust in my feet. I get itchy feet. So my mom and dad separated, and so I went with my mother, and we lived in many places in Hamilton. I went to Westdale Secondary School for a couple of years, and I used to come back and forth on the bus to Dundas, and because my dad was here and that. But when I was 18, I sort of had a broken romance, and I decided, we lived in West Hamilton. I'm probably digressing here, running around, but it's my mind goes. My sister was married and had a child, and she lived with my mother and I, so in West Hamilton, and I got thinking, oh well, maybe I should go on. And I worked for the government at the time, the inspection board in the Piggott building in Hamilton. And so I decided, I had a cousin in Toronto, so they were looking, where she worked, they were looking for a secretary. So I said, oh well. So I went to Toronto, got an interview, and got the job. And I was 18 in April, and that was in the summer. And I moved to Toronto. And I had been there, I was there for 52 years. And I used to come back and forth to Dundas on the train. And I used to have a friend in Ingersoll, and I'd take the train from Toronto, and we'd go through Dundas and off to Ingersoll. But they stopped the train because it cost too much money. I didn't realize it, but it takes a lot of money to stop that train. And then restart it. Did you know? I don't know how I found that out. And with only a few people getting off the train at that time, they felt it wasn't worth it. So they stopped the train stopping in Dundas. And then, well, now we're talking about the train. The year that King George V and Queen Elizabeth, they went through Dundas, and we, as a group, well, a lot of people went up just as the train slowed down and went through Dundas, and we waved to them. I put a penny on the track. I think I still have it, and they flattened the penny, so These are the silly things you do as a child. You know, and I'm very sentimental, and so those are the things that mean a lot to me. So I'm not like the rest of my family. I was the youngest, and I don't know. I just go my own way. I'm very independent and stubborn. So here I am. And living in Toronto for 52 years, and then I come back. I worked for a school board for over 25 years, but I had other jobs. And so then I thought, I was kind of, I don't know, I felt as though I should come back to Dundas and be around the rest of my family. And I'm very glad I did, because my sister took quite sick, and she lasted 5 years while I came back to Dundas. And that's the sister that Michael knows, Sarah. And so I used to go out and stay with her. Well, then after she passed away, I don't know, I got thinking, and I have a son that lives in Port Perry. So I moved up there for about 5 years. I lived in Dundas for 10 years, returned to Dundas for 10 years, and moved to Port Perry for 5 years. Then I got thinking one day, I'm getting older, and I know I'm going to rest. My final remains will be here in Grove Cemetery. So I moved back to Dundas, and here I am. I've been here now, it was 5 years in June. But I'm very glad I moved back to Dundas, because it's just like home to me, Even though I've moved around, I still feel that Dundas is my town. And I have traveled I've been a lot of places. Yeah. I've had a very, good life. I'm very blessed with my family. I'm divorced, and I guess my sons were, I think 9 and 11 when my husband left us. And I brought my sons up on my own, and we struggled, the three of us, but they have done very well, and I'm still here. And nobody tells me what to do. I do my own thing. I don't know what else you want to know, so you want more about Dundas, though, don't you? But I can't. Trying to think of Dundas. There's so many changes.
Did you ever play any sports when you were a kid? Did you join any sports or?
No, I didn't go into sports because I don't think in those years there were the sports around. Yeah. We used to skip and play baseball and kids games. In the neighborhood, we used to do. I don't know how many children there would be, maybe 10 of us, and we'd all play Red Rover, all the kids' games. And but I had one year up here in high school, and then I fell off a bicycle and damaged my knee, so that put me out of commission. And I haven't been able to run for years, because I hurt the cartilage, and they removed the cartilage, and it's just like bone rubbing on bone. But it has held out for me all these years, but I'm finding now that it hurts. Now, what more about Dundas? There are so many changes because the buildings, I can remember Builders and Pinders. That's in that spot now up from Central Hotel. That used to be Pinders Pinders Variety Store, and then Builders. There was a drugstore, Newitt's. There was a drugstore in there, and down at the Collins is down the other end of town, isn't it? Yeah. Well, they used to have beautiful lunches in there, and you could go down there. It was a nice hotel at one time. And then the Melbourne Hotel, it was how Dundas could operate with 3 hotels, which in such a small area, I'll never know. I used to go in there, because my dad lived in Melbourne, and I'd go in there and have Sunday dinner with him, and they gave dinners, and I'd go in past the men's bar room and see men in there, and I think, I didn't know you were, I was shocked at some of the men that were in there, but I can't remember who they were now, so. But I always thought, they were supposed to be up and standing citizens, and to me, a beer, you were into the beer parlor, then you weren't very good at one time, but that's all hogwash now. But when you were growing up in that era, then that's what it was. And not too many people had telephones and cars because it just wasn't the thing. So now what else? All right, there was a fire. It was the armories at one time where the senior citizen is. There was a fire there. Did you know that?
I know a bit of it from that.
It's probably in the archives, but I don't know what year it was. We lived on Hat Street. There was a big fire, and it was early in the morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning. We all ran up there because of the fire drills, but I would only be maybe 7 or 8, so I don't recall too much about it, except that there was a big fire, and we all went up and saw it. And I don't know really what else I could say about Dundas. Oh, we used to, well, I didn't, but all I did was to swim on Hope Street Bridge. It was deep enough where you could swim there. And I think a couple of the older boys or daredevils used to dive off the bridge into the water. And and Thornton's knitting mills farther up used to dump their dye into the water, and they'd holler, "Oh, we gotta go! The dye's coming down!" So we'd have to get out because of the dye being dumped in the water, and we had to get out of the water. And there was a coal yard around there, Stewart's Coal Yard, right on the corner of Hat and Hope Street. What else? I don't know. I can't really say too much, but except the stores have all changed out there. And just down from where my dad's shop was Norrington's Ice Cream Parlor. You could go in there and get the old-fashioned stools and sit at the bar or little tables, and he had good ice cream. And I'd say the jewelry stores along, Harold Bates jewelry store was along there, and Bates shoe store. And there's a lot of Bateses in Dundas, but I don't know if they were related or not. And Dr. Bates' house is here, and he was the one that did my knee. Well, he diagnosed what was wrong with my knee, made the arrangements for me to go and have it operated on. And he was a gentleman. He was really a nice man. And everyone liked Dr. Bates. They really did, yes. And you speak to anyone in Dundas, he was such a gentleman. Yeah. So, what else? I don't know. Are you any questions? Or?
I'm just trying to gather what you told me and think about it too.
I seem to be rambling, but as I'm trying to think, about, you don't want to really know that much about me. It's Dundas you're interested in, so.
It's kind of a mix. You're from Dundas.
Mm-hmm. So well, and then when I came back to Dundas, I started going to a church to play cards, and I met Margaret, Peggy Weir, and Catherine Sheehan. And they were members here. Used to be a member of the museum, and I started coming here when Carolyn was here, and Roberta, and the curator was Lisa, and we started going through the stuff, cataloging a lot of stuff. Roberta was she was wanting things put together, and I think it were volunteer quite a few years, and they used to have bus trips, and one trip we went on was with the Black Heritage, and we went, I think it was down east 401 at the time, but I can't remember where it was now, off Lake Erie, and we spent there's a little community in there, and we had a nice weekend. Carolyn had made the arrangements. And the museum here, you remember, and every year they had a Christmas dinner, and they did some lunches for a few people, and I helped volunteer on that. So, but I was always going to bring up my mother's christening gown, but I never ever bothered because she wasn't in Dundas, so I still have it. So, and it's about 125 years old. I still have it, so I don't know. I'll have to give it to one of my grandsons and he can keep it. I don't think you take those things anymore, do you?
I'm not sure how that
No,
fully works.
no. I'm going to have to come up here one day and just go through the museum to see the changes. Because we used to go in. I thought, well, how do I get in here? You know, because we used to get in next door, and then this before they opened the place to the house, it was like a lawn and that, and there were. I think people lived here at that time. So I'm talking about 10, 12 years ago now. So that's quite a while ago. So. And both Peggy now has passed away, and so has Catherine. You know, they were great gals. They never married, and they were just so wonderful. Marriages and everything, you know. If you're married, please forgive me.
Don't worry.
Anyway, but public school they wanted to tear that down, and I'm so glad it's a heritage, and those sort of things should be preserved, in my estimation. And the schoolyards, we were intermingled. Like we could go on the boys' side of the schoolyard, but the boys couldn't go on the girls. And we had our own entrance, and we used to have to line up to get into when they'd ring the bell, and we'd line up and march into school. So, and. Cy Murray was the principal, and of course we would call him Mr. Murray, but they used to call him Cy Murray, so I don't know. Anyway, what else about Dundas? In the park, it's years ago, where they lawn bowl, that's over 100 years old, as you probably know, and it just away from that was the concession for getting popsicles and ice cream cone. And above that, you have a band concerts there. The Dundas Citizens Band played music above there. Not where it is now, because my dad was in the band. And we would go down there on Sundays and take a picnic, and he would play Sunday nights, the music, you know, the band music, and we would be there. And that's got to be way back. Probably in the 30s, the 40s.
What did your dad play? What instrument?
He played I don't know, a tuba horn, not a tuba horn, but a horn. I don't know whether it was a tenor horn or tuba horn, but and Mr. Thornton, he was the band master, and they played band music, not the music that our Citizens Band is playing today. They played all band music, like Sousa and all the bandmasters, you know, people. Now it's enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but they don't play enough band music, and I grew up on band music, so that's why I quite like it. And then picnics were always there, and they didn't have the playgrounds that they have now. I don't remember. The only one thing I remember was a big round, like a wheel that you climbed on it. We used to go round and round. It used to make me sick, so I didn't go on it too much. And then they had another building. Well, it wasn't a building. It was a huge thing like this, but used to have dances. And my sister used to dance there. I was too young to dance, but she used to go up there and used to have the dances in the summertime. And it's always been a beautiful park. They've always kept it up. And even to this day, it's well used. And let's see, think back for Dundas. No, I guess that's about it, because you know, we always walked to school, walked to high school, no matter where you lived. There wasn't the bus system the way there is today, and the education, I think, was better when I was growing up. I really do. I worked in education in special services for 25 years, and there were consultants. We had for a small board, York Board of Education, and they were dedicated people. And so I feel that when the teachers get on their little high horse about different things, I think you're well paid. You have the best pension system, and you know. I don't know how old you are. Are you in your 30-ish?
Yeah, 30-ish. Nice. Nice guess. Thank you, I guess.
But I would think when you were probably growing up, the education was very good. But today, there's too many. To me, there's too much electrical equipment. I don't have any of that. I don't want it. And you know, the cell phones and these iPads or whatever you call them, and you know, and the children aren't learning. I'm sorry, but I'm off the track here. I'm telling you my thoughts now. So.
That's fine. I'm fine with it.
Anyway, I shudder when I see where the teachers want to strike and they want to this, and I think, you know, also. And their homes on Dundas are beautiful. And when I'm in Bertram Place, it was one of the mainstays of Dundas. And Pratt & Whitney, they were an English company, and they made small engines. And 2 years ago, I went up to Sarnia, where they had the flights. What did they do? Oh golly, I forget. My memory's not as good as it should be. Bush pilots. Have you ever been up there too? I think it's Sarnia, where they have
been to Sarnia, I don't know.
Bush pilots. They have this huge museum there, and I was going through it, and they had this mention about Pratt & Whitney engines. So I said to one of the chaps, I said, "Oh, I'm from Dundas. That's where they were made in Pratt & Whitney in Dundas." And Bertram's was a big place. Leonard's cotton mill. That's now on John Street. That's where the Salvation Army is. That was my aunt worked in there, so I know where that was. And then Thornton's mill was way uptown. And Dundas, when you think of it, and there was another mill down, where Tim Hortons is, and the creek, down. That used to be cotton mills in there too at one time. So Dundas had 3 or 4 cotton mills.
What did your aunt do at Leonard's?
Sorry?
What did your aunt do at Leonard's?
Oh, I don't know what she did,
No.
but she was just probably, I don't know whether she spun the cotton. I have no idea. I just know she worked in there. So. I went to school with John Leonard, and his dad was a member of Parliament. They had a beautiful home out on Governor's Road, and there's gorgeous homes out Governor's Road. And Bertram's is on Parks, Cross Street, down there, Crossan Park. And Grafton's, I knew Catherine Grafton. Her father was Stuart Grafton, and my sister, another sister, worked for Mrs. Grafton. I think Stuart was dead at that time, but she used to be a maid for them, and so.
Do you know what they were like at all? Do you know what they were like at all?
No. Well, I don't know whether, as far as the Graftons were concerned, it was J.J. Grafton and Stuart Grafton. Now, how close they were, I have no idea, because there weren't that many rich families in Dundas. There was probably the Graftons, Bertrams, and then to me, I know on Bertram's, we used to go there on Halloween. That was our first place, because we used to get a nickel. And we had to either sing or dance or recite. We didn't get that nickel for it. We had to do something. So, and Halloween was always lots of fun for the kids in Dundas. So, anyway, I can't think of much more, Devin. I'm rambling on here, I'm sure. You'll want to erase everything, which I'm glad about, because I don't know why I'm rambling on because I'm not normally a very quiet person, but I must have taken a shot of something before I came. I don't know. Anyway,
It's all good.
you got any questions?
I'm trying to think. I had a list, but you were covered some stuff that I had questions for anyways. So.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah. It was. What's your favorite place in Dundas?
My favorite place in Dundas? Oh. Well, you might think this weird, but I like cemeteries. My family's there now, and I go up, try to get up there as often as I can. I used to handle it. And I have been in my travels, 3 or 4 cemeteries. I was in one in Gibraltar, one in Russia, and Botany Bay. I have traveled a lot. And I think the cemeteries that really struck me the most was the one in Moscow, where I like classical music, and it was Tchaikovsky's and Borodin, 2 or 3 of the composers were buried there, and I have a picture of me there, and I'm standing there, and I said, "This is me," and my birth year, and then a question mark. And the one in Botany Bay, the one that struck me most there was when if you know with your history, they used to send them the convicts there from England to Botany Bay, and there was one of a little girl. She was, I can't quite remember, but she was just a small, about maybe 5 or 6, and it was so sad to think that she had to come with her parents, I guess, and was buried there. Can't remember the one in, well, the one in Gibraltar was military, a lot of military people. So, but they're about the 3 that stand out, and mostly in my mind. So, and I'm at peace when I go to a cemetery. I don't know about anybody else, but. And what I'm telling you is the truth. I don't lie.
Thank you.
So.
So is that the one in Dundas? That's the Grove Cemetery, right?
Grove Cemetery.
Yeah.
It's over 100 years old. I don't know how many years it is. So. Yeah. And unfortunately I can't look after it the way I'd like to. So one of the servicemen from the Legion, I knew him years ago. He was a best man, or an usher, and I was the one of the bridesmaids at a wedding. He was friends with the husband or the bridegroom, and I was friends with the bride. So, and it was years before I met him again. So he looks after it because of my sister, and he goes up and puts flowers on it, and I just it's appreciative that he does that for me. So he's a real nice guy. Yep. He's in his 90s too, so he's no young man. And mine isn't the only cemetery or plot that he looks after. There's several up there that he goes to, and how he gets down on his knees and up again, I don't know. I give him credit. So.
It's admirable.
Yep. Anything else? But anyway, now that the cemetery is about the nicest, what I like to do.
Makes sense. I go to the York one. There's the one in Hamilton.
Oh yes,
I ride my bike and I walk.
I've been through that one, and we used to go there with a friend of mine when I lived in Hamilton. We used to go there, so I know I've been there. Yeah, that's where they have all our documents in there now.
Oh, okay.
If you want to know anything, that's where you have to go. The one in there.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the big hub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't find it strange at all because I've been going there since I was like a teenager. I used to kind of just
Oh, I know.
around there.
Oh, yeah.
I live close to there now, so I just kind of go for a stroll.
It annoys me when I hear of people desecrating.
Oh, I know. There's
how
a whole bunch that happened there. Actually,
how they can do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh, I guess, what was the first large news event that you heard? Like the first global news event?
What do you mean?
Like if you heard like the war, or like what was just the first biggest thing you can recall?
Okay. I had two brothers who went to war, and I guess what I recall mostly is with my. See, my mother was married twice. I'm the second family, and my half brother, which is still my brother, he joined the Argylls, and I think I recall him. It must have been about 44, and he left for Iberwin Stadium, and I have a picture of him, and this is where they embarked from Iberwin Stadium. And I don't remember too much about the war. My brothers went, my sister joined. I was too young, or I would have joined the Navy. But I think coming back, I think we were all happy. You know, I can't recall any instance at all. I just think the fact that war was over and my brothers came home safely, and you know, a lot of other people that I knew, friends, they came home safely. I don't recall any deaths of friends that I knew, so yeah.
I guess, well, the one that's not fully about Dundas, but I like to ask it anyways to learn it, is just what advice would you pass on to future generations?
My advice? Well, I don't think anybody would listen to me because I would just hope that they appreciate what they have and be kind to people. You know, I go by the golden rule, you know, to do unto others and as you would have them do to you, and be aware of people, especially older people. And I always have been, but I notice now that I'm getting older that the children today, their parents aren't teaching them to be, look around them, and you know, they're nonchalant, they're carefree. And I understand it, but I do think the parents could be more alert of to what's around them and teach their children. That's what I feel. And I just hope that they, we're a very fortunate country. No war, no bombings. There's a lot of bad things going on in Hamilton, stabbings and that, and I think, I don't know what people are thinking. Are there no jobs? I really don't know. And they need to be educated and to be, I'm going to repeat myself, you know, just look around, you know, stop and look around. That's about it.